Hello, this is Group One's motor learning presentation on how to dribble a basketball. So this is the table of contents. Just going to highlight everything we're going to be talking about over the course of this presentation, that being topic identification, target audience, landmark stages, assessment plan for the skill, practice plan for the skill, and of course, skill-specific feedback. So the topic identification, we're going to obviously teach beginners how to dribble a basketball and maneuver throughout a game situation. Dribbling a basketball is one of those things where it's very easy to do, it's very easy to get into, but it's hard to master. There's a lot of little different minute details and tips and tricks of how to actually dribble a basketball effectively. This is meant for individuals who are brand new to the sport and just want to learn just learn the basics. There's dribbling between the legs, there's dribbling behind the back, all sorts of crazy street ball spin moves, this, that, and the third. But we're not going to focus on that today. We're just going to learn the absolute minute simplistic, just dribbling a basketball back and forth between hand to hand. And this is to help any beginner get more comfortable dribbling a basketball while moving in a game situation. It's a lot different to dribble a basketball while standing as compared to while you're in motion, and there's a million and one different things going on while you're in game. As for the target audience, and what the previous experience, knowledge, and the skill level of the sport. The previous experience and the level of knowledge of the sport can obviously vary. It can vary from somebody who used to play basketball, but quit for a number of years. It can be a child who's never picked a basketball in their life. Some learners may have little to no prior experience with basketball, while others may have played a sport recreational at some sort of competitive level. It could be high school, middle school, college, this, then the third. And as for who we're going to teach this skill to, it's going to be individuals of any age group, any skill levels, and so on and so forth. But for the purpose of the course here, we're just going to focus on the beginner stage, like we mentioned before. The target audience continued. As for some barriers, some learners may struggle with the basic coordination and fine motor skills required for dribbling, which may require additional attention to practice. For example, dribbling with your palms as compared to dribbling with your fingertips. When you teach somebody that, they can get very robotic. It doesn't really smooth. It's not really as smooth. Beginners may be hesitant or fear making mistakes, which can hinder their progress. Creating a supportive and non-judgmental learning environment can obviously help overcome this barrier. Many learners tend to favor their dominant hand while dribbling, making it challenging to develop proficiency with their non-dominant and dominant hand. Extra focus and specific drills can address this issue. For example, dribbling through cones, dribbling through chairs, dribbling while there's an actual defender in front of you. It's very beneficial, especially because you want to emulate a game situation as much as you possibly can. Many beginners, no matter which way they're going, right or left, let's assume they're right-handed, they're always dribbling with their right hand, heads down, and they don't really have that coordination with their left hand. They don't have that fine motor control in order to do that. So with repetition and with focus and with teaching them how to do that, can be very beneficial, especially to build really good habits in the beginning. As for the diversification strategy, would be appropriate. This means introducing variations and challenges to the skill to improve adaptability and decision making. For basic dribbling, this can involve coordination, defensive pressure, changing court conditions, introducing different dribbling patterns, and promoting the use of both hands. So dribbling left to right, it's a great drill for most beginners. Like I mentioned before, cones, people, chairs, that's all stuff that I used when I played basketball competitively. Another really cool, inexpensive way for teach beginners. What I use is I used to get a shopping bag just to make the grip a little bit worse and the dribbling a little bit more inconsistent. When beginners get more accustomed to dribbling a basketball, that can be another thing to make them dribble a basketball better over time. For the cognitive stage, we're going to break down the skill into smaller components and explain each step clearly. Use visual demonstrations and provide verbal instructions. Encourage learners to focus on proper hand positioning, body posture, and controlling the ball. So we're going to look for things such as dribbling with your fingertips, maintaining an upright posture as opposed to kind of hunching over, keeping your head up as opposed to looking at the ball. It's a very common thing. The associative stage, encouraging learners to practice the skill repeatedly, emphasizing consistency and accuracy, providing feedback and any technique errors, incorporate drills and expertise that stimulate game-like situations. Just reiterating everything that I already said before. And as for the autonomous stage, encouraging learners to practice in various game situations, promoting decision-making and adaptability. Basketball is a very unpredictable sport, like a million and one things that can happen. So trying to emulate that as much as you can in practice is going to transition over very well to in-game. Encouraging creativity and balance dribbling techniques. So just learning how to dribble with your offhand just as much as your dominant hand and providing occasional feedback and refinement suggestions, especially for beginners, because they don't realize they're making the mistakes until you actually point them out, you know. For the performance changes indicating readiness to progress. The next level stage may include improved control, increased speed and efficiency of dribbling, better decision-making while dribbling in game-like situations, and the ability to execute more balanced dribbling moves. So that being said, behind the back, between the legs, when he just really good examples of kind of progressing when just dribbling with your left and right becomes a lot more fluid, a lot easier for you. As for Gentle's taxonomy, what is the function of dribbling a basketball? Body transport or body stable. For the skill of dribbling a basketball, it would be body transport because the skill involves movement while maintaining a constant dribble. Does the skill require object manipulation or no object manipulation? Sorry. The skill requires a great amount of object manipulation because you're moving the ball as compared to the ball moving to you. Is it performed in stationary regulatory conditions or in motion regulatory conditions? The skill is performed under stationary regulatory conditions, as the environment does not factor into the performance of the skill, unless maybe you're outside, but that's a whole nother story. Is it? I can never pronounce this word. Intertrial variability or intertrial or no intertrial variability. Dribbling, like many other motor skills, involves a degree of variability between trials due to factors which change, such as muscle control and the player's coordination. As for the assessment plan for the skill and evaluating the success, so we're going to start the learner by getting him comfortable with dribbling with both their left and right hands and progress them once they can perform the movement fluidly. We're going to determine the participant's response to each cue and decide whether they are ready to progress. Dribbling is a very complicated skill that requires lots of practice to master. Again, even the best of the best players in the world, they're constantly working on the fluidity. They're constantly working on just dribbling basketball as efficiently as possible. You know, and that's synonymous with all levels of the sport. The process will take days to be consistent practice to see improvement. It could take days, it could take months, it could take years. Just depends on your overall skill level. This is the success. I can't pronounce that word either. This is the rubric out of 9, being control, synchronization, and posture as the criteria. We're looking for stuff, you know, just overall, just how they move with the ball, being synchronization, their overall posture, whether their head is going to be up or whether they're kind of hunched over, kind of like a hip hinge, whether the control is there with their fingers. Well, with the ball, they're dribbling with their palms as opposed to dribbling with their finger. Just little nuanced things that people might not understand when they first get into dribbling a basketball, but will eventually we'll get over time. As for the practice plan for the skill, the introduction and demonstrations, the instructions given will be externally focused as to help direct the learner's attention to external points and encourage better spatial awareness. A demonstration should be performed by a skilled individual before the skill is attempted and periodically repeated to reinforce proper technique. I think this is very important as someone might not know what proper dribbling technique looks like or how it feels unless they actually see it right in front of them for themselves. And demonstrations should be provided frequently, especially during the internal stage of learning. Just some verbal cues to focus on attention, being eyes on the target, which is an external focus. This cue directs the learner to keep their eyes on the hoop while dribbling. It helps them maintain better spatial control and awareness of their surroundings, which is very important in basketball. One of the most important things is that you have to know where you are at all times, especially with the ball in your hand. Feeling the ball's grip, which is an internal focus. This cue directs the learner's attention to the sensation of the ball in their fingertips. It helps them develop a better feel for the ball, leading to improved ball handling skills. Again, very, very important. So this is just the step-by-step guide, just the whole practice, being demonstrating the proper hand placement, learning, letting the learner practice dribbling with a focus on keeping their eyes on the hoop or just keeping their eyes up in general, providing feedback and correction just to make sure that they understand the external focus aspect of it, demonstrating the internal focus by feeling the ball, feeling the grip, allowing the learner to practice dribbling with an internal focus on the ball's field. Keeping your head up but keeping your eyes closed is a very, very surprisingly hard way to learn how to dribble, but it's very effective. Just a great example. And lastly, offering feedback of encouragement to help a learner improve their kinesthetic awareness. As for the skill specific feedback, the feedback mechanism that will be used will be extrinsic. This is because of the high likelihood of comprehensive understanding. The training will immediately be able to recognize errors in your technique and execution. So game tape is a very big one that I used to use personally when I was a beginner, and it's something that I've used for a lot of clients as well. People being able to see their own mistakes and where to correct it, it's like when it's actually them that they're seeing, it's very important. Using both descriptive and pers perspective feedback will be beneficial for a beginner to learn how to dribble. This will ensure the person will have many different types of cues and knowledge on how to dribble a ball better. What we're going to show you next is going to be a video just detailing everything that we mentioned in this presentation. Apart from that, thank you very much for listening to our presentation.